Hello and welcome to Wellness with Delaney. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're like, what the heck? This is not the studio. That's because I am at Breezy Hill Farm in California in Arroyo Grande with Kaleb, and we are going to talk all about raw dairy, regenerative farming, and all things health and wellness in this area. I'm so excited. Kaleb, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, I'm glad you could get acquainted with one of your friends right there too.
Oh, I'm still coming up with the name. Okay, so I have a chicken story for you before we start.
Chicken story.
A chicken story.
Okay.
So when I was an unhinged child, so this is like, I love this. When I was in kindergarten, we went to like a pilgrim center. I don't know, not pilgrim, like Amish farm situation. And one of the things, like all the kindergartners were told to go into like the barn and everyone had to like get an egg. So we were like gathering eggs. I don't know why. It was just like an activity. And I wrangled a chicken. So all the kids come out with eggs and I came out with like a whole chicken, like flapping her wings in my arms. And I like thought that was the assignment. I like was like, why did none of the kids have chickens? But I did. So this is like really bringing me back to my childhood roots.
This is like, you've done this before. You have experience with this.
I'm in touch right now. I'm really loving this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me, Kaleb, how does somebody in their 20s end up at a regenerative farm? Like, you're the lead farmhand here, right?
Lead farmhand. That's the role that I've taken on. And yeah, you want to set these girls down, and we'll give them their space back.
Fly free, honey. Oh, she's done. She said goodbye. We're still mic'd though.
Yeah, so it's really funny, and I never thought that I would have ended up here. I started a raw milk ice cream company called I Like It Raw.
Amazing.
And the whole idea was like, I wanted to make an ice cream that was with raw dairy and was really clean. And the whole concept was just like nothing synthetic. I had already cleaned up my diet. And ice cream was just one of those things that I was like, all right, this is great, but like there's little things in here.
Yeah.
And 3 hours away here in Arroyo Grande, I found Breezy Hill Farm. Met Susan and Jeff, and I fell in love with this land, the animals, the property, and I was like, I need to be here. I need to do this.
Absolutely. Okay, so why raw milk?
So this is definitely like a heated thing right now. For me, it's when I'm looking at what I want to be consuming, it's how can I get as close to nature as possible? Like, how can I get ingredients in their most simple form as they were provided to us by nature? And there's a lot of like, science behind it. But honestly, for me, it's more of like an intuitive thing, and more of just, I feel the best when I drink raw milk, and I feel the best when I am not eating processed foods. So I think when I'm drinking raw milk, it hasn't been denatured, it's in its original state as it was provided to us, I feel the best. My digestion is better. It has a ton of really great benefits for your gut microbiome. So that's really like my go-to. I'm sure there's all these different medical journals and we could get into all that, but really when it comes down to it, I have a pretty like intuitive approach to eating, and raw milk just really aligns with that.
I love that. And how often do you hear of people, I'm actually one of these people, but who like can never eat dairy, they're lactose intolerant, and then they try raw dairy and they can actually eat it and it doesn't break them out, it doesn't make them throw up, it doesn't bloat them, all these things that we hear. Raw dairy doesn't seem to do any of that with everything that's already kind of in it that's so nutritious. So in the pasteurization process, what happens to the milk?
Yeah, so there's a number of things that are denatured or just totally destroyed. Pasteurization happens at there's a few different types of pasteurization. You have like VAT, you have low temp, you have ultra. So like your lowest is I believe it's 145 for like 30 minutes. And there's actually a couple of cool brands that do like really low. Kelowna is one of them. It's like the closest that you can get to raw. And then there's a high, which is like 225 for like 15 seconds. And so it's a range, but there's to some extent, and whether it's like completely destroyed or denatured, it's impacting the whey proteins, it's impacting enzymes that help your body know, okay, I need to produce lactase to break down the lactose. which then helps with issues with digestion. And to talk on like the whey proteins, I've just noticed that if I have like even like whey protein powder that isn't raw, that is kind of like just hitting me, and because there's something that's been changed with it, I've noticed definitely a change in how my body reacts to it and how I digest it. So yeah, it just has a lot to do with the denaturing and the just either total wiping out or lessening of probiotics, enzymes, and proteins.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty crazy when you start to learn all that. And of course, yeah, you see a lot of compelling arguments on either side. But I think that like the most intuitive thing is when you try raw milk,
yes,
you feel the difference. And
Yeah.
that's what's really crazy. And I always tell people, like, if they're scared of raw milk, start like with raw cheese. Because I feel like that's a good gateway drug into raw milk.
absolutely.
Which is kind of what I did. I was scared of the raw milk. And then so I was like, let's try the cheese. And then that was great. And I was like, okay, let's try the milk. And that was even better.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, I mean, there are different levels of what you can try if you're not ready. But I think when people do try it, they do immediately feel that tangible difference. So you guys have raw milk.
Yeah. Speaking of that, should we try some of this right now?
Let's do it. Bottoms
okay.
up.
Speaking of trying, so this is actually gonna be your first time trying this.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Oh,
cool.
heck yeah! I can't wait.
So yeah, so we have this bottle, and I always give it a good shake. I mean, if you want to, you can always leave the cream top and use it as cream. But
I always steal the cream first thing. Like no one else is getting the cream but me.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's the best stuff. So this was milked today.
Wow.
So super fresh.
It doesn't get fresher than that.
And we got the gut raw milk glass.
Doing shots of raw milk today.
There you go.
I'm so excited.
Of course. And of course the raw milk is medicine mug too.
I love it. Yeah, if you guys aren't watching this on YouTube, you should watch the visual. We're out in a pasture. We were just holding chickens. You might get a surprise appearance from cows. I'm not really giving anything away too early, but you might. Cheers.
Cool. Cheers. Yeah. Enjoy.
I'm so excited. Oh, this is so good. It's so fresh. And you know what? I don't actually normally like plain milk, but I like plain raw milk.
Yeah.
I feel like it tastes different.
1000%. So you have, it's more, the sugars are more pronounced, I feel, and the cream is just smoother. And especially if you're drinking raw milk that's pasture fed like this, and pasture raised, you're getting all of these like variety of grasses that are contributing to this really good taste. And I want to do a whole segment just on Jeff talking about every single species of grass, but he has done such an incredible job of knowing every single species of like, okay, this is like rye and fescue and like there's sweetgrass and all these different things. And it's basically like the ingredients of the grass create the final product of the milk, even though we think that this is like, you know, a single ingredient. There's actually so much that has gone into the cow being able to produce a specific taste of milk. Yeah,
it's literally sweet. Like it tastes really decadent. I'm actually so impressed because sometimes I feel like with pasture raised and like grass fed and all these things, you can get that grassy flavor. You know what I mean? But this doesn't have that. It's so yummy and creamy.
Yeah.
So, and you were saying like the blend is different. So why would this be different than a cow that's just grazing on like regular grass?
So yeah, I mean, we've just done, Jeff specifically, I have to give him so much credit, has done a ton of research into the specific varietals and understanding, okay, this type of grass is going to produce a certain you know, nutritional profile that the cow will ingest, and then that changes the milk that they produce. And it really just shows like anything we eat is starting from the ground up, like from the soil. Like we know exactly what we're putting into the soil. There's no artificial or synthetic fertilizers. There's no pesticides that are being used on any of this land or any of the surrounding land. So we know the soil, and then the grass, and then obviously the cow, and all the other things that aren't even the grass, of like the light and the human care and affection that they get. Because it's kind of like us, right? It's like our food diet is important, but also like our light diet and our social diet, and then that ends up in the product.
Absolutely.
And then the final milk.
Yeah. Okay. And you can fact check me on this, but you mentioned like they're not using any pesticides or chemicals on surrounding land. I heard that if someone's spraying glyphosate even like 3 miles away, it can affect you. Is that true?
It's as far as I understand, it is true.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
So it's a funny thing, and we were actually just talking about this, and we're looking right now at expanding. This is a very exciting time for Breezy Hill Farm. We're looking at expanding right now to another plot. So we're touring all these different lands and trying to understand, okay, what's a good plot, what has water. And one of the big things is you could find a great piece of land that's not getting sprayed, that has great water, that is great like land access and is flat, great for cows. But then if the plot right next to it is getting sprayed, it's kind of like, okay, well, what's the use of doing all of this and like keeping it safe if there's spraying, cross contamination? It's like, you know, secondhand smoke. It's unfortunate that that is like such a concern and that happens, but it's definitely something to be aware of and cognizant. And that's even you know, if anybody's touring farms, that's another great thing to look for is, okay, it's great that this farm is you know, is doing practices the right way, but how, like, what are the surrounding, you know, farms doing too?
Yeah, and even beyond farming, like if you have a dog, if you have kids that want to go outside, yourself, if you want to go outside and ground, I feel like these are really important things to be aware of too. Just because anyone, and we're all impacted by chemicals being sprayed. And so it's of course important in farming, but I feel like this really does apply to everyone in some capacity.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it impacts just overall health. I mean, there's all those studies of like farm kids being healthier than, like, you know, kids that are being raised at conventional farms or like in the city. And I think it's such a testament to, like, if you're out and you're not in these like conventional situations, you're going to be a healthier kid. And yeah, I mean, all of those, what was the like whole roundup thing with Moderna and all of the kids that like actually did grow up on the farms and they had issues versus like other kids that so it has such a big impact.
It's so crazy. And then I'd even imagine, so there's like the direct impact, right, of like the diseases that can come from these chemicals. But then there, I feel like, would be an indirect impact as well, where if you're stripping the soil with monocropping, with chemicals, pesticides, and then you're eating the food that's produced from that soil, whether it's crops or like dairy or meat, that's, you know, really in some way, shape, or form coming from this soil, you're going to have food that's void of minerals. And then you need those minerals for healthy, strong bones, for vitality, for energy. And one thing I love about you guys is you obviously don't monocrop when it comes to the feed. You have all these different grasses and you're doing things in an organic way. And so that obviously is going to impact the soil. So can you tell me a little bit about why soil is so important for overall health of the cows and for us?
Yeah. I mean, it's the foundation of everything. And that's such a great question. And I love how you worded that. Like, it is the root of everything. It's almost like how your gut health kind of controls everything in your body. It's like the soil health controls everything, and the final product of the food. It's the one really important thing to look at in the soil is the biodiversity of like all the different bacteria that are down there. And you can look at like the water retention and how that impacts the grass growth. So there's so many different factors that having healthy soil impacts to the grass, and then it goes to the animal. But it always goes back to the soil. Carbon sequestering. There's so many different things that having healthy soil unlocks for you, as like not only as a farm but as a community, as a country, as a world. It is the foundation of everything.
Yeah, it's really incredible. I mean, yeah, for our planet as a whole, and it's all, you realize how connected we are to nature when every species, plant or animal, is impacted by the soil.
Absolutely.
And then you go into bees and plants and all this. And so obviously, you know, you guys are doing regenerative farming, and that's going to be a way better, healthier option. How is regenerative farming different from conventional farming? Like, what are some of the practices that you guys do take to make it better?
So this is a great question. And I love going into this and understanding what the specifics are and like breaking down and saying, in conventional you would do it this way, in regenerative you would do it this way. And I think this type of question is so important for people to understand. Okay, there's all these farms and all this marketing that's like, this is regenerative, that's regenerative. It's like, well, what are you actually doing? Like, what does it
mean?
Yeah, what does it mean? So a great example is like right now, and we could even show at the end, but we have polywire set up So we have a pasture that's separated into paddocks. So we do rotational grazing, and that just means that the cows are on certain paddocks and certain plots of grass for certain times. So a few days, a week, and then we'll rotate them onto another paddock and give them access to this grass. So like we can actually see this grass is really tall. The grass that's on the other side is a bit shorter because they've been grazing it. So now we'll bring them onto this side. We'll restrict that half, and then they'll just get access to this. So that entire strip of land will be able to rest. They'll graze on here, and really, again, it's all about letting the grass and letting the soil rest and get kind of its cycle, as if there would be actual like migratory patterns of livestock animals. So we're just kind of mimicking that, as opposed to just having just the permanent fencing, having the paddock set up too. And that's just like one specific thing of regenerative versus conventional, but that gives a good idea.
Yeah, I love it. And I don't know where you stand, but one thing I'm very open about in my page and on my show is like my faith. And I think everything does tie back to that, including health and wellness for me. And it's biblical to let the land rest. It's in the Bible. And I think that's really interesting too, because I'm always wondering, like, why are these rules that don't feel spiritual in this spiritual book? And I've realized so much for me, it's because these things are good for us. They're good for the planet. Yeah. They're intuitive wisdom. It's not just about our spiritual health, but about our whole body health and our planet's health. And resting the land has been something that's been preached since literally like ancient Israel. And so I think that's really fascinating that that's something that people are starting to talk about now. And then is regenerative different from like, let's say like climate neutral farming, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So I think that's another point that's like, it's a buzzword and there's the definitions, and I think it's more important to just go to the farm and see. But theoretically, if you had conventional and sustainable, which would be like climate neutral, sustainable, like break even, versus regenerative, conventional essentially is, detrimenting, taking away, and a net negative. Sustainable would theoretically be sustaining, so just a neutral impact, like you're not making the land necessarily worse, like, but you're not necessarily making it better. So basically, whatever you take, you're putting back. And regenerative essentially is you're regenerating. You're regenerating, right? So whatever the soil quality is, after you have your cows or pasture or crops or whatever you're raising there for a year, 2 years, 3 years, you would see year over year the soil health improving, versus just it staying the same and kind of being like climate neutral, right? Mm-hmm. And that's like, I think it's just one of those things of like leaving a place better than you found it, kind of like a golden rule that we're taught when we're kids. But again, it's so true. It's like whatever land we're given access to, and we're shared to store it over, we're supposed to be giving back to it and fostering it and making it better. It's the land and the soil is a part of the farm just as much as I am, just as much as like the chickens that we were holding. Yeah. So yeah, it's a big component in that entire ecosystem.
I think that's so beautiful. And it's really cool to see that you guys are doing that and really cultivating the land and stewarding it in such a beautiful way. Let's say there's a lot of land now that has been stripped, right? Like it's been a victim of monocropping, of glyphosate, of all these different practices that deplete the soil. Is it possible to bring back soil health and bring back that vitality?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of stories, and one of the more popular ones, I'm sure you've seen, Biggest Little Farm, of the farm out here in Moore Park. It's like 2 hours away. And even this land was pretty sandy when Susan and Jeff got onto it. And actually this pasture that we were standing in, I'll show you photos. This was just straight bare.
Wow.
Yeah, there wasn't even grass growing here. I think it was like a year ago, or not even a year ago, that I got here. So you totally can. Then I would say the number one thing, at least as far as I have seen, is the biodiversity of the soil and what's inside the soil. So life starts with life, right? Like you need to foster life at the cellular, bacterial level inside the soil, and give some sort of feed to it. So that's why organic fertilizers, chicken manure, cow manure, and things that all of these like little, even smaller than insects can grow and breed and start to create life. And then the soil kind of like, it's almost like a light is turned back on, and it's like, oh wait, like I can start growing grass eventually. Like there's
Wow.
so yeah, it is, there's no like doom, oh, like the soil could never be brought back. I believe the earth is so resilient, and it's always trying to get back to homeostasis. And sometimes we need to just give it a little bit of a boost and encouragement. But there's always that like, okay, humans can come in and kind of destroy and like do really terrible things to the soil and to fields, but we can also just be stewards of it and bring it back.
Yeah, that's really beautiful too. And I think that's really hopeful because, you hear a lot of the negative stories. You see a lot of the negative. If you're kind of on this awake side of knowing about the farming industry and some of the damage that's being done, and to realize that that doesn't mean we're doomed.
Right.
Like it might take work, it might take care and patience, but we can bring the earth back to this. I mean, you look around, this is so lush and amazing. And I really want to get into the cows too.
Yes.
That's really, I'm all about the cows. I think they're amazing. So one thing that originally obviously intrigued me about what you guys are doing was backstory, a while ago, I had seen this video on Instagram, and like, mind you, I eat a lot of meat, but I still really care about the welfare of animals while they're alive, right? And dairy cows are not the same thing as beef cow, like all these things. But I saw this video of a dairy cow like dropping a calf, and immediately these guys taking the calf away, and the mom's like running after the calf, crying, and I literally am in tears. I'm like, no, like I was like, this is on a pasture, and I was like, how can I trust any dairy, even if it's pasture raised, grass fed? I mean, that just made me so sad. And then not that much later, I saw you guys on Instagram. I think we had connected, and I was like, oh my gosh, they keep the babies with the moms. Why isn't everyone doing this? And then I was like, okay, we have to talk. So can you tell me a bit about your process, like why you keep the babies with the moms, how you do this to make sure that you can obviously have a business and take care of nature as it was intended to be?
Yeah, great question. I think at the start of it, when I first got into this, again, I'm first generation farmer. I have no prior experience to this, so I've just been learning a ton every month. And something that I learned kind of similar to you was I went to a dairy farm and I actually saw rows and rows of calving pens.
Oh my gosh.
And I immediately was like, wait, do I even want to make ice cream anymore? Even if it's raw, like this is how calves are being managed. And it just was one of those things that you find out about, and like my stomach literally sank. I was like, this is not okay. I don't want to be involved in this at all. This doesn't resonate with me. I don't think this is I don't think this is in line with nature. I don't think it's in line with God. And I took a bit of time and I was like, okay, what is the next step forward? And thankfully I found this farm, and I realized like, if you just kind of do it yourself, you can actually do practices however you want. So in my opinion, part of regenerative practices for a dairy farm specifically would be keeping the calf with the mom for some significant amount of time. And that's why, understanding you're touring a farm and you understand, okay, what do they feed the cows? What are they, are they not spraying? How does the soil look? Are they doing rotational grazing? But also another big question to ask is the calving practices. And it's, at scale, and this is going to be something that we figure out, like we're going to be documenting the journey the entire way of how we scale from the, under 20 cows that we have right now, where we do things this way, to, 100, 200 cows. But it's one of those things that we are just so dead set in wanting to keep the calves with the moms. And I can walk through a bit of like what the separation schedule looks like. But it's just something that is so close to our heart. Logistically, I understand why conventional dairies do it. And I don't even, it's one of those things like, oh, well, we've always done it this way. Like, but I think it sometimes takes a little bit of like stepping back and questioning and being like, wait, we don't have to do it this way. Like there's not like a absolute requirement of us needing to strip the calf away from their mom the first day and bottle feed, and we've just done so many workarounds when it's like, what if you just let the calf drink the colostrum and drink the milk from the mom right away?
Yeah, it kind of feels like stealing not
yeah,
to.
Yeah, so that's again one of those interesting things is like, is it we want to bring people milk and we want to bring people real food, and cows absolutely produce more milk than the calf could ever drink.
Yeah.
I've seen it before. We have calves with their moms for about 5 to 6 weeks after calving. So they're born. They're going to be born right here in this tall grass in this like beautiful, we call it the maternity ward. They'll be born here, and the calf will stay with the mom. We'll collect after the calf drinks however much colostrum it wants. We'll collect any extra colostrum. We'll bring them back into the maternity ward, and then for 3 days we'll do that same thing. And then we just eventually milk them normal, and you get about 3 days of colostrum. But and then in terms of the schedule, we have about 5 to 6 weeks where they're with the mom 24/7, and then for about 3 to 4 months after that, they are transitioning, and we do about 12 hours on, 12 hours off. So we have these like open air fence corrals that the moms and calves can still interact at night. We separate the calves at night, and then right in the morning, the calves are the moms are milked, and the calves are brought back to the moms. So
that's so amazing. And I think it's cool too, because you guys obviously have like a good relationship with the cows. Like they recognize you, they trust you, they're sweet and snuggly. And I feel like some of that would be a testament to the treatment, the fact that you just let nature do its course. You're not treating them like these mechanical milk machines, right? You're really honoring the nature aspect of it. And I think that's so important, and something I didn't even really realize was an issue until I saw that, saw videos on it, but then saw that you guys were doing something the other way. I didn't realize that was even something people were doing. And I think that's really, really fantastic. And the cows are so cute.
Yeah, they are adorable.
They're so cute.
I just feel like we are here to serve the animals. And I think this is one of those like hot topics of people saying, oh, like you're even if you're doing regenerative, like you're still taking milk, you're still stealing, it's funny because how I view it is like I am in obligation to the cow to like protect the cow and to make sure that the health of the cow and the mom and the baby is good, understanding what they need, bringing them the best food, raising the best soil to give them the best grass, and really in service of the animals. And I think Susan and Jeff feel the same exact way.
Yeah.
So that's always like an interesting thing for hearing it on social media or wherever of like, oh, you're stealing and you're taking advantage of the animal. I'm like, I'm literally here for the animal and obviously for the community, and I want to bring great food to the community, but at the core and at the root, like the most important thing is the health of the animal. We don't get this milk if the cows are sick or if if there's something wrong with them. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing is like the seed oil mafia loves to say like, oh, will you drink cow's breast milk? Like the way they're kind of branding it to sound so crazy and outlandish. First of all, humans have been drinking milk forever. Second of all, like we were talking about earlier, you're telling me that cows actually enjoy being milked if you do it the right way, right?
Yeah. So there is an endorphin release. There's obviously pressures being released depending on how full they are. And it's something that is like they're in that cycle, they're in that natural pattern of, okay, they have their calf, we're milking them, we're collecting the extra, and they honestly just get used to it. Like it would be like if you just had, if you were getting milked more and you kind of just get used to, okay, I need to produce a little bit extra, and we're obviously giving them a great diet and a very like nutrient dense, and it goes back to like the amount of nutrient profile that's in the soil. We're giving them really nutrient dense things, and the right calories and the right protein, so that they can then make the best quality milk and also just the volume, so that the calf is getting their fair share and that we can collect some too.
Yeah, I love that. And honestly, like being out here on the farm, I can attest to everything you're saying, like seeing how you guys do things. It's so different than when you go to like one of those big industrial farms that's producing all the milk that goes to every grocery store in the nation. And I mean, people are allowed to visit here, right?
People, I encourage visitors. Like we want people out, we want people touring, we want people coming and seeing like, okay, this is the milking parlor, this is the barn, this is how everything is happening. This is the poly wire that is like, used for rotation. we love showing the feed that we use. We love showing the hay, where we get our hay from. I like to say, like, there's not a question that somebody could ask that I wouldn't be like, we're going to answer this to the best of our ability. I think that's a really good like litmus test for is the farmer honest, is the farmer authentic, is it go to ask them any question and see how they respond. Like, are they like, well, like, I don't know, or they're like, yeah, here, so like, here's the label from this, and I'll even be the first to admit, like, there's all these different things we know that we could be doing better. You know, if we rotate every week, we could be doing it every 3 days. Like, there's all these different you know, little tweaks and everything. But being transparent with your community and with your customer base is so important. People deserve to know what they're eating and how it's being raised. We've just become so disconnected and so unaware of all these things.
Yeah, it's really crazy how anything's allowed to be proprietary when it comes to our diets. I mean, even if you look at like natural flavors or any of these labels, right, on our food, and then if you ask the company what the ingredients are, they won't tell you. It's proprietary. And I get that there's like, they don't want people stealing their formulas, whatever, but in anything with food, people should get to know exactly what they're consuming, because that comes down to informed consent. Then people can decide, do they want the conventional stuff? Do they not really care? Or do they want the most wholesome quality? And like, do they actually get to find out which brands are doing what they want them to be doing, right? And I think that's so important. So you did touch on earlier colostrum. What are the health benefits of colostrum?
Yeah, so and I guess I'll start with just like kind of a breakdown of really what colostrum is, because that might help set the context. So colostrum is essentially, you have, it's essentially just milk, right? Like, you're basically, it's just milk from a cow. There's not like a specific colostrum, you know, teat or udder that like colostrum is coming out of. It's not any other, you know, facet of the cow. The mom's body is incredible and so smart, and this has been like perfectly designed, that the mom produces colostrum, which is essentially just very nutrient rich, mineral rich milk. For it's most noticeable for about 3 days after birth, but there technically is colostrum or traces of colostrum, which is really just like a fancy word for saying a really rich mineral and nutrient profile. For, you can see it for weeks or even a month in the milk. And that's why the cool thing is, like, because we're just getting all the milk and putting it together for every, you know, every mom, even if you buy like our normal milk, and this is true of really any dairy, but you're getting some amount of colostrum in the milk, because there's, you know, it's not just 3 days. But yeah, so for about 3 days after the calf is born is the most noticeable window. So you have like your first day, and it's, if you pour a glass of it, it's like just straight yellow. It's like this golden, beautiful, super rich. There's a lot less sugar, which is funny. So it's not that sweetness. It's almost like a little bit more bitter, but it's very rich. Like,
I think
it's
it tastes
very
like cheese.
Yes. Yeah. That's a great way to describe it. Almost like heavy, and even just having like a sip of it, you're like, wow, it's like kind of activates you on like a cellular level.
Wow.
So yeah.
And it's a beauty food, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen so many different applications. I have to give a huge shout out to Cowboy Colostrum. I love their stuff. They've done a really good job. They do first day. So for example, there's some brands that will do like first, second, third day. And it just has to do with like the basically the ratio of, you know, colostrum to milk. Even though colostrum is just milk, but it's basically just the amount of minerals and nutrients that you're going to get. So yeah, for example, if you're getting first day colostrum, you're going to get the richest. But yeah, I mean, I've seen people put it on their skin. I've seen people put it like directly onto their face. I actually have a friend that tried that with our colostrum. So yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways to use it.
That's amazing. And I've seen on Instagram, like, you're kind of playing with colostrum. Is that going to be something you guys are offering?
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow. So we also just got a freeze dryer, which is really cool.
Woohoo!
So we just did a run of the milk, and I'm sure we can like do that while you're here. But we could do some milk, and as soon as these calves are born, we'll collect that liquid colostrum, and it will go straight to the freeze dryer. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be crazy bioavailable. still the only thing that's happening is you're just taking the water out of it. You're not heating it past 100 degrees, which a cow's stomach is like 101, 102 Fahrenheit. So you're not heating it more than it would be inside a cow's stomach. And yeah, I'm super stoked to bring that to people, and just, you know, see what the reaction is.
That's amazing, because then you'll be able to potentially maybe ship it nationwide.
That would be the ideal scenario.
Yeah, at least to
so
Washington.
we'll see. Yeah, so that's one of those things that right now there's an interstate ban on the transport of raw milk and raw milk products. There are, you know, there's certain things that you can do, but it seems like the legislation is trending towards that ban being removed. So
God bless.
We'll see. Like knock on barnwood. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this war on raw milk, I mean, it is so frustrating, which in California, it's been like allowed for a while, right? It's been in stores forever.
Yes. So retail legal, you can go into any store, pick it up. You just can't then ship it to another state.
That's valid.
There's a whole set of certifications that you have to get with the CDFA, and you need to make sure that, you know, your commercial kitchen is set up appropriately, and there's a number of little things you have to tweak. But
yeah, which I feel like that's almost like good, because I know there's a lot of fear around raw milk, and people are like, oh, well, how do you make sure you're not getting all these bacteria and diseases and la la la? But if you actually go to a raw milk farm that is selling their milk, they do have to go through a lot of work to prove that they're doing things correctly. It's not like anyone off the street is selling raw milk that's been out for 3 days, you know? And I think that almost can like dispel fear for people to know that it's not something where everyone can just sell it without any certification, without any inspection. It is actually something that you guys have to do very carefully. And I've seen your system. You guys do it very carefully, and I would totally trust it.
Yeah, I think leaning into the fact that you need to get certified and you need to get it validated, I'm totally with you. Like, I want it to be something that is very transparent. What does our filtration process look like? What is the time that it takes to go from the cow to the chiller to 36 degrees to into the refrigerator, and that entire process?
With a little buddy joining us.
we got a little kitty buddy.
I love this.
There's literally animals all over the place. Yeah, so I am just such a big believer in, like, if you're going to do it, just absolutely do it the right way. And that's why, like, I'm not like, oh, they're making us get certified, no, they're making us test, and like, I think they're great things. And then to add to that, it's obviously funny because the entire concept of pasteurization is just, in my eyes, a Band-Aid solution on dairies that are keeping their cows sick and having unsafe conditions and poor sanitary practices. And if you're at a farm like this, you realize because we know that we're giving it to people raw and selling it unpasteurized, we're like so much more diligent about, okay, what does the milking parlor look like? What does the commercial kitchen look like? What does our chiller look like? What's happening in the creamery? Like, how long is everything taking to get cold? And obviously, if you're just boiling the milk, you're almost like, you kind of care less. You're just like, like, it's gonna get boiled, so it's fine. It's like, if the cow's sick, it's not that big of a deal because the milk is gonna get boiled. And it's very much like a Band-Aid solution versus addressing the root cause, which is like, well, why are your cows sick? Why do you have like a really, dirty barn? Like, what's happening here? You're not feeding them. They're not getting sun. They're not healthy.
Yeah. I mean, I was just talking to Ryan Griggs a few months back from Regenerative, and he was telling me about swell milk and the history of pasteurization, how it came from literally cows being milked and like basically the size of like a New York City apartment, and the blue, nasty, pus-filled milk that was coming. So they're like, oh, we'll just pasteurize it. And it wasn't the Amish farm milk that was getting people sick and killing people. It was the nasty, like, swell milk, sick cows. And so it just goes to show pasteurization, I totally agree, it does take away the need to be really diligent and really a good steward. So then kind of with all of that, I know we've talked a little bit about, there are a lot of buzzwords in the grocery store. So if I go to the grocery store and I'm like, okay, this milk, these eggs, this whatever, it's pasture raised, it's grass fed. Well, my favorite one with eggs is like pasture raised vegetarian fed. I'm like, that doesn't even exist. That's not even possible. But there's all these buzzwords that do make us as consumers feel better about ourselves, but I think in a lot of ways can gaslight the consumer. And my heart is really for the people who are trying to do their best. You know, they're trying to do the best for themselves and their health, for their families, and then trying to do the best by the animals, right? Trying to pick the things that are the healthiest. But like, how much credibility is in these words and labels on grocery store food?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great topic for consumers to do research about and understand the brand and the farm specifically that they're purchasing. So the words, in a perfect world, you could just trust and look at the word and it'd be like, oh, that's regenerative, great. Like I know that, okay, that has pasture raised, it's 108 square feet. Like I know all these. It's really just so, unfortunately, it's completely on you as a consumer at the end of the day to understand, like what is this chicken's life like? What is this cow's life like? And it also just ushers in like this, what's up, girl? It also just ushers in this whole concept of getting it locally and really building that relationship with the farm and the farmer.
Oh, Kat's going for some raw milk.
Honestly, she can have some.
She's
It's good.
it.
All the animals love milk.
Is that good for you?
But yeah, so it's one of those things that if you see a product and you see it has a certain buzzword or a certain label on it, understand, okay, I need to actually look at this farm. Like I think Force of Nature is a really good example. Like I really like their stuff, their meat. They show all of their practices, how their bison are raised. They're like free roaming around thousands of acres. So you can go and look at their product and it's like 100% grass fed, grass finished, and know, okay, like I can trust this. I'm getting a good product. And really just doing that with anything you're buying. And I mean, such a good way is like obviously farmers markets, shopping locally, going to your farm and picking up, seeing the farm is the best thing at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys are in California, listeners, like, come check out Breezy Hill. You can come tour it. I got to pet baby cows today. I got to pet pregnant cows today. I mean, it's been a dream come true. And
the chicken.
held the chicken. We'll hopefully, God willing, get to see at least one cow birth, which will be like a highlight of my life. How do people get Breezy Hill milk? Is it available?
So right now we are running a herd share. So members that are in Arroyo Grande or Napomo or SLO, just all in basically San Luis Obispo County, they're welcome to sign up for the herd share. We're unfortunately at capacity right now, but these two moms are about to give birth to some new calves, so we'll have some extra milk. We're gonna have colostrum, which is really exciting. So yeah, it's one of those things that we're actively working on CDFA certification, so we can just sell retail, similar to how you could go into Sprouts and get a Desi milk or a raw farm. We'll be able to do the same thing, and right now we are just being able to provide it to herd share members.
That's amazing. Okay, I'm like ready to move down here and sign up.
Sign the agreement. I'll bring you out one.
This is literally the best milk I've ever had, and this is not a sponsorship. Like it genuinely is so delicious. It to me tastes like almost a dessert. Okay, actually, I do have one more really random question about the milk. So I have heard that this might be the case, and I'm like, it makes me sad. But you know, I love to put my raw milk in my hot coffee. Is that basically pasteurizing it?
This is the thing. Like this is another one of these hot topic questions. People get really upset about it. It's like, at the end of the day, it's like I'm just in the camp of like, okay, sure. Like if the coffee is 145 degrees, technically it's like theoretically a vat, but it's also like you're putting in milk that's cold. It's not maintaining 100. Like vat pasteurization, low temp pasteurization is maintaining 145 for like 30 minutes. So technically you're not even getting like a vat pasteurization in. Is it gonna like, could it heat the milk up over 102 degrees and you would technically be considered like not raw? Maybe. But at the end of the day, it's like, does it really matter? The raw milk that you buy is better than basically any milk you could get. So putting that into your coffee versus anything else, I just look at it as, it's almost like, why are people so worked up about this? It's like, use raw milk in your coffee. It's okay. Like you're gonna be fine.
Okay, that makes me happy to hear. Yeah, because I've heard people saying this. I'm like, wait, I do that. And honestly, okay, you're putting a splash in your coffee, but that's not the only way you're using it, right? And so
exactly,
it's better than it's better than the alternatives. It's kind of like throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Like, oh well, I lose a tiny percentage of the nutrients, so I'm just gonna go full pasteurization. Screw you. Like,
which I like this. I get, because I think that social media has turned so polarizing.
Oh my gosh,
of like, you have to do it this way, and like, if you eat a single seed oil, you're gonna die. Like, it's like, what if we were able to just find some sort of like happy middle ground? And it's also like person to person. If you're in a phase right now where you want to be so like strict and not eat any seed oils, not like drink anything but raw dairy, or like you have certain things, that's great, but it doesn't need to be one size fits all for any means. And we've gotten into this place where like people literally feel like bad about putting raw milk into their coffee because like, oh, it's going to pasteurize, might as well not even do it. It's just like, it's so silly to think that we've put people into this position where they're like scared to do that. In reality, it's like they're making so much progress. They're changing their lifestyle habits and their diet habits. And we just need to be a bit better about like, just take the steps and do what feels right for you.
And like that, that whole mentality that you're bringing up, I see it all the time, even with people like my friends and family, where people have this mentality. So then the second they slip up or eat out, or, you know, have something where maybe they don't have the fullest control over their diet, they like fall into this doom pattern where they now struggle to be healthy again because they feel like they completely ruined all their progress. And what's the point? Versus being like, okay, cool. Yeah, I know this seed oil has a half-life of 2 years in my body. That's not great, but the best thing I can do is make sure my next meal that I can control is healthy. You know, like it's this doom cycle of feeling like the second you fall off the wagon of strictness and rigidity, you no longer can get back on, versus just understanding that life has nuances. Like even today, like I'm on the whole, like tallow everything, no seed oils in my home. But did I go to a restaurant today and eat something that was probably cooked in vegetable oil? Yeah. And I feel fine because 95% of my diet is completely clean. Like I did not feel guilty or sick because of the tacos I ate. This, you know, like it's not, I mean, it's important, but there's also room for life, and you can't let your brain just put you in this spiral because that'll also ruin your health goals.
Absolutely. Like you're so stressed out about, oh, like there's one little thing, or like I'm driving on a road trip. Like one of my favorite things to do is just get a bunch of In-N-Out patties on a road trip. And yeah, sometimes I'll grab fries and I'm just like, whatever. Like you know that they're not cooked in tallow, but it's like, this is still fine.
Yet,
and then I can go shout out Graham, Tallow Organic in Venice. I can go there and get tallow fries and like the best meat and the best produce and everything. And it's cut on like stainless steel cutting boards and all that. But it's like, there's you know, we're moving towards that, and there are really a lot of options now. But like we're all making progress together. It's like, this does not have to be perfect in every moment. We have to give ourselves grace. We have to give each other grace. I love that you brought that up.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And okay, tallow, I've been hearing amazing things. I need to check it out. So they're actually also now EMF friendly certified through Aries. I don't know if you heard about this.
I saw that. So I was out, they have the like pendant on the wall, or the ward on the wall or something. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. So I'm actually, as of recently, I'm on the creative team with Aries, and I've been an ambassador with them for years. And so I'm really excited about that. So now I'm like, okay, not only are they Aries certified, which is amazing, and the first restaurant to ever do that, but they also are seed oil free and organic. I'm like, I need to make the trip and go try it expeditiously.
Yeah, for sure. You guys might have to take another 3-hour drive down south.
What's another 3 hours to 16 hours one way?
Exactly.
It's
like,
fine.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Been in the car for a million lives at this point. So Kaleb, I love to ask everyone, what is your health goal?
What is my health goal? That's a great question. Honestly, for me, it's just aligning my lifestyle as close as I can with nature. So that to me is like, optimal health is existing as you would in nature. So how do I still, you know, operate in modern society and have like these different modern conveniences and everything, but get as close as I can to real food, getting time in the sun, spending time outside in nature, connecting with friends and family, moving my body. So yeah, I think my health goal is honestly just to align myself as closely with nature as I can.
That is so beautiful. And I think that's a goal that anyone can take on, because it looks different for everyone, but it's something that we can all benefit from. Okay, were we wanting to bring the cows out?
Do you want to do we can do a pasture rotation?
Let's do it.
Be really fun. Like, we can leave this. I don't know if we want to like have somebody protect this stuff, but
I'll tell Taylor.
We can take down we can take down the poly wire and just do it.
All right, so as you can see, we just let the cows rotate over here, and they might be out of shot now, but they're having the best time eating so much fresh grass. Kaleb, this is so cool. Where do people find you and see all this on social media? Like, how can they connect?
Yeah, Breezy Hill Farm on Instagram, Breezy Hill Farm, breezyhill.farm is our website. And I would say to anybody that wants to come meet the calves, meet the cows, check out how we do things, please come visit the farm. If you're in LA, it's a 3-hour drive. It's beautiful. You get to go through Santa Barbara, and you can come up for a day trip. Would love to have you. Anybody is welcome to come tour the farm.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for chatting and for having me here at the farm. You guys, if you loved this episode, make sure to share it on your story, tag Breezy Hill and myself, and let's share the importance of regenerative farming that's ethical and keeps the babies with the mom. And hopefully we can make a movement out of this, right? Hopefully we can like educate people into realizing that it's possible to do things in a really ethical, amazing, nature honoring way. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening, and I will chat with you soon.